This is our meeting for February, our work session. And Jennifer must have a sixth sense of humor. That's all right. This will test my glasses off.
This one is tonight. It's not too bad, Janet, if you don't have glasses. But it's, presentation tonight.
I didn't know that
Okay, the purpose of tonight's meeting is to go over possible action items for next Wednesday night's meeting. I'd like to recognize our guest this evening, and I guess they will be given a presentation when I get to item E is recognition of meetings. Item 2, presentations. Mr. Fred, Mr. Okay.
Yeah. So those two will have a joint presentation. The Mezzanot family, if you are a patient of Dr. Mezzanot and her husband, they were very generous and gave $500 to the district. We broke it out in 250 gift cards, and they were given the needy families. So that's your teaser for next week's presentation, and Mr. Frangel and Mr. Sverbley will give details on that lucky families.
Okay, item B is elementary assembly.
Education, Law, and Medicine, Elm Assembly. Mr. Amabel is here tonight to give us a brief presentation. Our seniors will be participating February 23rd in a countywide assembly. Pat, you want to introduce who you have with you here? Yes. This is Pat Amabel. In addition to representing the Elm organization, he also is a school board member at Newcastle and has been on the Joint Operating Committee of LCCTC. So welcome.
Thank you. First of all, thank you for giving me some time. I appreciate it. I know you guys are really busy. We have a handout. Hand those out. With me is Lori Paul. Again, my name is Pat Amabel. Lori Paul is a counterpart of mine on the Elm organization. We've done this already once at Newcastle back in October, and it was a huge success. Newcastle sponsored the first seminar, and really the biggest thing that we want to get out to you is, and I don't want to go over everything that's on the handouts, but we want to make sure that you guys have the ability to actually come out and have your children and the community attend this event, because we just think it's a really perfect time to have everybody involved in this. And Attorney Angelo Pepa is the founder of this organization. He asked me to be a part of it, and at first I didn't know what to expect, but as we went into this and we had the seminar, the Newcastle high school kids that we got the feedback from was just absolutely unbelievable. And I think that's where we started really gaining a lot of momentum. And then Angelo had the idea, and Len, you were there at, we had the meeting up at the country club, the superintendent's up there. And we already have Reynolds and West Middlesex already committed, as well as Newcastle and of course, Laurel. We hope that we can get as many people attending as possible. The biggest thing that we want to point out is that there is a curriculum, and Len, I think you heard about, we talked about Act 48 hours that are going to have the ability for some of your newer teachers to have those hours. And I know in Newcastle, they're looking for things for these newer teachers to do. We just want to make sure that that's part of the second part of that. Lori, do you want to talk a little bit about some of the features that are?
Yeah, absolutely. And, first and foremost, thank you so much. I have your details behind your back.
Yeah, I know.
I'm really grateful to be here. I have over 20 years experience in mental health and substance abuse disorder. So, family experience, unfortunately, but I've had the blessing and privilege of helping people get into treatment. And it's such an important program that I've been blessed to be working with both Pat and Angelo. I was taking note of what Laurel stands for, Community Dedicated to Excellence. And it really struck me because you're saying that you want to equip your students to become knowledgeable, responsible. It really does start with a program like this. I can't tell you the heartache that I've seen with the 18 and 25-year-old students that come to us in need of help. They're struggling with mental health and substance use. But it started way back in school. And you are the eyes and ears of these children that don't know how to ask for help. And I really want you to be there at this program. You have the information in front of you. We really want you to be there because you really can make a difference, whether it's the students in your district, their families, their parents, even somebody outside of the community, maybe you're in your church, in your neighborhood. We have to make changes. We have to stop what we were doing because it's not working anymore. We're losing students to suicide, to substance use, and mental health, and they are not equipped to function in this community and this society. So that's why it's so important. We really need you. We really, really want you to be part of this with us. So if you can take a look at the dates, if you have something going on, if you can kind of maybe see if you can reschedule it to spend at least part of the day with us and see this program. It is really amazing. I was at the first part, and the children, I call them children because they're like 40 years younger than me, but it really impacted them, you know. And that's what we want. We want them to know that this could be their life, but it doesn't have to be.
Well, what intrigued me about what you've done and why we're jumping on with this part two is it's more than just the Don't Do Drugs assembly. It's tying in the legal proceedings, you know, and there's going to be a mock legal proceeding as part of this, correct?
Correct.
Is it the preliminary hearing or what exactly is it?
So it's a trial by jury.
Trial by jury.
What you're gonna see in the beginning is you're gonna see a video of a crash scene, and it is DUI related, but it's not a scare tactic. This isn't something to scare them with. It just shows them what the consequences can be, and every student that shows up is gonna get a jury slip. So we have a real judge, we have real lawyers, and, you know, they're gonna have an opportunity to weigh in on that decision, and on the way out, they're gonna give their decision on what, the idea would have been. So, absolutely, there's gonna be jury, and we've got speakers that are just top notch.
Yeah, and I'm going to tell you that real quick, but I want you to understand that this jury retarded, this is an actual thing that happened. So when you watch it, this accident that happened, the phone flew out of the car, and when it landed, it was still running because the kids were taking videos, and it is actually videoing what you're seeing, you're hearing is actually live. It's not created. And this jury that we have at the actual event is that reenactment, and we're showing the children, the students, people from.
Aren't these actually snippets from
Yes,
that?
It is right on the top there.
it's actually real. But some of the speakers that we're going to have is author and counselor's name is Steve, and it's on your papers too for you to look at. Steve, I believe how you say his last name is Troy, but please apologize if I'm pronouncing it wrong. He wrote the book one about only needing endorphins, excellence in school, and he's talking about that natural high, and he has an early intervention school program that he does. Dr. Arturo Taka is very well-known psychiatrist and addictionologist, and he created this device called the bridge that goes behind your ear. Almost, to me, it reminds me of like the old kind of hearing aid, but almost it goes in the back here and it helps with opioid withdrawal without the actual medication. So for us to have him come is pretty exciting. So he will be there. We will also have newly elected District 9 State Representative Marla Brown. She will be there. So it's a great time for you to meet. A lot of these individuals will have time after the program if you want to say hello to them, talk to them. Basically, we really want to equip you with providing a wellness program for your school district on all levels. What would you do? Ask yourself this. What would you do if a student came to you right now and was struggling with mental health, or they were talking to you about suicide, or they're using drugs or alcohol? What is your protocol? And, you know, back when I was in school, and even my son who's almost 21, it was don't do drugs. That doesn't work anymore. I'm not knocking that help you overcome them. We have the people we're tight with. So if you're struggling, we can come in, we can help you formulate that plan. You know, be the leader in this, because a lot of schools are afraid to. Show them there's no fear in this.
And the biggest thing after all of this is, you know, we're gonna equip your teachers with some curriculum information that they could take back with them, because you're only sending, Len, how many is sending approximately?
Our senior class,
Okay.
about 90.
Yeah, so what, you know, you might be thinking, well, what about the other 200-300 kids or whatever that didn't get to see this? You're gonna have the opportunity to have that to bring back and to show within the class to other students in younger grades. So, I just think that it's something that we thought that we'd you know, introduce to the rest of the county. We'd love to have you there, and again, like I said, Newcastle's already, committed to hosting this, and Len, help me with the Act 48. Mr. Rossi has said that since they're the host, they can
You're-
sponsor the Act 48.
You're accredited, so any teacher attending the event participating would be eligible for Act 48 hours. Right. And all we would have to do is have that, and, yeah, that's not a problem. Anyone who goes there would get Act 48 hours towards the renewal of their certification.
Yes, and then, of course, we have that Saturday to actually have them come and do the hours.
But just to be clear, if they want, they can come as individuals, hang out in the back, check it out.
Yeah,
We would
absolutely.
love to, we would be so happy. And if you do come, please say hi to me. If I don't recognize you, please remind me, because, you know, not a lot to remember at this time. There's a lot of people on meetings, so, but I would love to have you there, and bring this back to your school district and to your community too. It's really important, so.
Can we answer any quick questions before we go? I don't want to just want to make sure that if there was anything we can, you know, anything that's on your mind that you might think of, that we can answer at this time. And if not, it's okay, you can get back to us, and then you can filter it through your office.
I appreciate you guys coming out and give them the gist of what we're trying to do and what, you know, this board has said on multiple occasions about its concern, not only with the mental health of young people, but with, the drug use. And, you know, it's definitely not like days gone by where maybe someone hit a little bit of weed or this, that. Some of the drugs they have the capability of getting one time can kill. So, and again, I can't, I mean, maybe it's this former social studies teacher in me that we're doing a balance here between not only a drug and alcohol presentation, if you will, but a civics lesson. You know, how do your actions impact you legally? You know,
Right.
And you know, I just give you some feedback from one of the students that attended it for Newcastle. You know, he said to me, he said, you know, I don't do drugs, I don't drink, I don't do anything like that. He goes, but I have a brother that is. And it started, you could see the passion in his face that this is something that he wanted to be able to learn more about so that he can make a difference for his brother that was having a problem. So it's not just about those kids that have the problem. It's about the kids that don't have it to help influence, right, some of these other kids. And they're so impressionable at this time, and sometimes they want to be with the in crowd, right? We got to help with that. So.
Or to even be their parents. I grew up in a home where that's what's happening in my house. And so, you know, way back then, we didn't have what we had. But not having someone to go to in the school to help us, you just lived that life and you didn't know that that's not how it's supposed to be until fast forward, you know, you move on and you become an adult. You have students in your school district that go home at night that aren't able maybe to study, or they're listening to the yelling and screaming, the cops are coming, and they're trying to figure out what in the world's going on. So if they had a place, kind of like what he's saying, somebody's brother, you know, their family to be focused on siblings. So we just want to make it so these students can come to you regardless of who's struggling, and they know it's a safe space.
No, it sounds like a very interesting program. It is a crazy world, so I think any of this is a good idea. I mean,
Really appreciate the support. Thank you so much.
and this is at 9 o'clock on a
Yes,
Thursday?
it's going to start at 9 a.m. So what Newcastle, the idea was, because of course busing and lunch and everything else, we're going to start promptly right around 9, and we're going to try to have them out by 11:30. It's a 2.5-hour program. Hopefully that'll give you guys some chance to get back to school. And I know we have to always worry about feeding the kids right away, or, you know, whatever time. So we're that, but afterwards on that day is when, you know, the leaders of the community and everybody else are gonna have those talks that we can help out.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thanks,
Thank you.
thank you, nice seeing you again.
Thank you.
Good.
Okay, item 3, any reports from standing committees? Item 4, administrator supervisor reports, if any. Do you have anything to add?
Joe, anything to add?
Yeah, I just had one about, just wanted to bring this up, had a bus that's giving me some issues. This is 2010. It's bus 88, it's one of our main spares now. It's been giving me exhaust issues, like going into this mode for quite a while now, when we hook our laptop up and clean it out, and it lasts a couple of weeks, months. And I said, you know, when I'm done, I took it to Cummins to get their opinion. And, they ended up doing a campaign on it, and they replaced the diesel particulate filter for almost $3,000, and it was free. So, this is a 2010 with 152,000 miles.
How's that still free? I'm not complaining, I'm asking.
I wasn't either, but they said it was a campaign for that, we never got done, and so I gotta.
All right.
That's,
Oh, the problem.
and it's usually, you know, they didn't have to tell me about that, they could have pushed it on anything by this, but usually I'm arguing with them to do something, but this was a gift, so that's why I brought it. So I have one more that's another year older, so I'm gonna have some of that. But yeah, with these things going in limp mode, we're kind of stuck. And even our new ones sometimes are backed up, but they're supposed to regen on their own. And sometimes they don't. These older ones, you know, we've got the laptop to do.
How would you like to have a big rig that your livelihood depends on it?
And that's what they're all dealing with.
Oh, absolutely.
Mhm.
So the limpo just sitting, making no money.
And
Sometimes getting them hauled in.
you drive down Interstate 80 and look at all these trucks and all these.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Okay, any questions for Ed?
That's why I believe.
I guess we didn't have any issues with the snow day, no buses. I heard all kinds of horror stories on Facebook and a few nasty emails, but I stuck up for you. I told everybody, you know, if we would have waited, the roads were worse. I was out there at 6:30 in the morning. I was having a trouble.
Well, every time we know that there's a storm coming, I try to get up early. So I got up at 4:30, it was nothing. 5, when I talked to him, nothing. Got here at 6, nothing, no. Drivers starting to come now, starting to come now. But it got breezy.
Yeah.
It got breezy.
Oh, yeah.
Well, that's the problem. When you have your first snow of the year in, you know, January, you know, late January, nobody's ready for it, but overall, I think.
But I actually drove that morning too, because I had to drive and get Charles. So I got some experience in it.
How was it when you were out there?
Well, I went down Devil Hill first, my first trip, and I seen the salt tractor. And Billy Dean was here. And I seen him out on my route, and I actually stopped and pulled up stuff, and so he did a great job out here. Every road I was on was good.
And that was the difference between going down Devil's Elbow, which is a nightmare, but was treated, versus the elementary bus that got stuck on a road that wasn't.
And I was just explaining that to Mr. Hamilton before the meeting, that out on some of these roads out, we get deep on that side. Laurel roads are township roads, and some state roads are intercrossing, so the state roads already touched, because they don't touch them. And then we got 2 cloud roads, then we go down roads that are touched,
Mm-hmm.
and that's where we get in trouble. So, I don't have a direct connection to the state road, and some of them are like, them are secondary roads to them,
All right.
so.
Overall, I think we did all right, so. Mr. Novak?
It's been a busy month, but I threw a couple things. We had a sub pump in the high school basement was bad. We replaced some faucets in the elementary, but, we installed some neutralizer kits on all of our boilers. We try to do it every year. It's just time consuming. We got it done, so we're good to go. The boilers make condensate, they could have some acidic, and they go through a particular filter and then neutralize before it goes on drain, so we try to replace them yearly.
Any questions for Ed? Ms. Bell?
Mr. Shortly and I were at a conference this week. A lot of good information we brought back for our intervention teams, for our title program. IEP progress reports are going out to all parents. Our school-wide, if you saw the elementary, there was lots of snowflakes up and kids were getting hot chocolate. The kids thought that was cool, but that's ending and we're going back to just our green card system. My office is like the coolest place to be. Like there's candy, hot chocolate, kids coming and going. It's a fun place now. And then we had our first meeting with the guidance counselors and Mrs. Neeson at the elementary, bringing Angelus in and adding a social worker to both the elementary and the high school to help get families connected to bridge that school home piece and offer additional support at both the elementary and the high school. So we had that first meeting.
And you have the Angela stuff at your seat.
Right. Any questions for Mrs. Bell?
Yeah, I got it. So Nicole, I see that.
That,
So when we met with the teachers, one of their concerns was that people didn't know everything that we were offering. We had talked about putting something together for the parents, maybe putting something on the website. Is this part of that?
back after we met with the teachers, I emailed you and Mr. Redfoot, and then I added posters around the building.
Okay.
And then we put a thing on the website. If you have social emotional problems, behavior concerns, click on it, then that'll take you to my page. It has a list of everything that we offer.
Okay.
This is an addition to. This is just what Angelus offers.
Okay.
Still, if any student is struggling, you go through my office and it goes out from there.
Okay. All right. That's
So
the thing I didn't-
this pamphlet here is only what Angelus offers.
Right.
Angelus comes into the school and does school-based counseling. It bills people's insurances, and it's a licensed therapist in the building. This other component is also through Angelus, and they're just gonna bring as part of a grant Mr. Rich got, that they can offer social work, groups. She is, I believe, gonna be a licensed therapist, so she could do, some therapy on that capacity, but.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
So, yeah, that's just what Angelus offers. We still have a scope of other services.
I just clicked on your link. I saw the thing. I didn't click on it because I was like, I wasn't sure where it was gonna take me, so.
Yeah, it'll take you just to my page and
Okay.
everything that we offer, from
Okay.
regular ed, special ed, counseling. And I think, I feel that, and, at the end of the year, we'll, maybe reach out to the teachers again, but, everyone knows Mrs. Neeson down there. Like I said, kids are in my office, we do these snowflake things, and, but if you guys have any feedback for me, I haven't heard anything, or I feel like it's going very, very well,
Yeah.
but,
And I feel the same way. I mean, after we met and had the conversations, you put that together. I never heard another word. So I was just wondering if this is something adding to it. So,
yeah, that's just adding to it.
okay.
Any other questions for Mrs. Bell? Mrs. Columbus?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
We just sat where the nameplates were.
Oh,
So we did our benchmark 1 versus benchmark 2 data. Just a quick overview, I'll look at K-2 first. So basically going across there, the idea is that the numbers in high risk go down, and as you get to moderate risk and low risk, the numbers should be increasing. And as you can see from fall to winter, of course, we made improvements like we think we wanted to do. We also are further ahead than we were last year in the winter. So not only did we make growth this year, but we're making growth overall with our kids getting further ahead in their achievement. One of the things that we continue to be a concern is our incoming kindergarten kids. A lot of them are coming in little to no preschool, so they gotta learn school before they can do anything else, which then, of course, their academics are behind too. So we've really been trying to focus and work on those, work on getting those kids where they need to be. Also K-2, our title program, as you guys know, Mr. Armstrong is now our Title I teacher this year. We've restructured that to look at skill deficits in particular. Research shows that if you're going to get kids that need to be, you've got to look at specific skills first. So we're hopeful that's helpful, and our data is showing so our kids are moving along. So we're going to continue to work their K-2. On the backside, 3 to 6, which is our PSSA classes. Again, across the boards, we've made improvements from fall to winter. And then looking back at where we're at last winter, we are also higher in achievement this winter than we were last winter. So lots of good news, moving in the right direction. We're working on closing that gap. We're excited about where we're headed and pushing along here. This is our big push between now and the test in the spring.
So first and second grade, numeracy and reading. Those were the only two that were going in the opposite direction? Or am I reading that wrong?
Where are you at?
First and second grade,
Okay.
4.9 in the fall to 6.2, high risk.
So we did have more kids in the high risk, but if you look all the way over at low risk, that went from 67 to 80. So that actually could be since our numbers are so low, one kid moves in,
Yeah.
that's at low risk, that's what it's bumped.
Okay, all right. Perfect. Yeah, because the rest of the numbers look great. That's why I was like, oh.
Okay. Any questions for Mr. Thorpe? I guess it'd be Mark.
Nicole and I put our slide together, and Nicole's
Yeah,
gonna present
I'm
our.
gonna present. Yeah. Okay, so there's our slide. We are looking at 7th, 8th, and the Keystone tested areas. So we gave our benchmarks in the fall and then again in the winter, just like the elementary did. We used Study Island as our benchmark testing. That was one of the things that was presented earlier for the budget. Study Island is very highly correlated to the state assessment. If you look at here, we see that they're mostly improvements from benchmark 1 and 2. Like Dan explained with that last one with the literacy, that could be a difference of a student with the percentage point. In the column that says PVOS prediction, PVOS stands for Pennsylvania Value Added Assessment System. It's a tool provided by PDE that correlates all of the students' tests from the very first time that they take like a PSSA test on, and takes it predicts how they would produce on the next current state assessment. So if you look at our predictions, like for 7th grade, let me use that column, that first line as an example. The prediction is that at least 65% of those students should pass the PSSAs with either a proficient or an advanced score. One thing I do want to point out here is when we are looking at this, you're going to notice that 7th grade and 8th grade PSSA math is always lower. The state average last year in 7th grade PSSA math was a 27%. That was the state average. Last year we were 3rd in Lawrence County, and we scored a 30%. That test is just normally a low scoring test. 8th grade PSSA math, our prediction was is a 24%. Last year's state average was a 22.6, and last year we actually scored a 33%, which we were 3rd in the county. So we are on the right path. What we did was we actually had meetings with the department heads and shared all of our data with them, broke it down within the anchors of where their tests would, each anchor of what the students need to know of where they would score. And the department heads went back and had meetings during our in-service day with their department and got to dissect it a little bit further.
So why would the prediction on 8th grade ELA drop?
Those are just for those students. So it would depend on how they scored for 7th grade In sixth grade, they did not take the PSSAs because that was the COVID year that they
Okay, so when
didn't.
they do the predictions, they also look at past years?
It's all past years. It's how they scored in the past.
They don't look at the benchmark test, only the past TSSA.
Okay.
Yeah.
They look at their.
Third grade, fourth grade, fifth grade, all the past tests.
Anyway, okay.
Any questions for Mrs. Columbus? Okay, Mrs. Conrad.
In sub 72 and sub 99, all those out, and, struggled with my past, but I finally got it to work yesterday, so all of that's been submitted. Other year-end things that have come up, but, now that, we kick off with state of Laurel, that'll push me a budget.
Okay. Any question for Jennifer? Rob?
Quick update. Yeah, just, I spoke about E-rate, it's E-rate season, so just letting you guys know, I'm been working, to put all of our documentation together, procurement and so forth. Doesn't mean we have any type of obligation, but it has to go through that process to be qualified. You'll probably hear me speaking about E-rate over the next couple months. Then, just giving you a heads up, Ms. Mickelson is doing a great job, like with giving the concepts, and I shared this with, Mrs. Conrad and Mr. Rich. She's really picked up tremendous problem solver. So we're really getting to where we need to be on solid ground with it. So just giving you an update on that. And more importantly, the security update, I wanted to make sure you guys can speak to this. We have a controller that has been on back orders since June. One piece that is absolutely brought our security for the open the doors and so forth to a standstill. There's nothing we could do, and unfortunately, you'll appreciate this and understand this. Mr. McGee, it's a proprietary device, and I cannot get it from any other vendor. So I wanted you to be able to speak to them and say, why the heck why are we getting signals when these doors are open? Why isn't it happening? That's the why behind it. So,
Any kind of update on the refund?
yeah, it was supposed to be here in October.
Right.
Then they pushed it back to November, and I send them an email or text at least once a week. And, the last time he just said, I can't keep it. He said a couple months. So I know this much, the only thing I can say is we're at the very top of the list. And there are other school districts behind us, only because we were queued up first.
Do we still do the all-call, like when school's canceled?
Anytime that I'm given a directive to send it on call.
Okay, I didn't know whether we had changed things or not. I mean, because I know when the snow the other day, everybody kept saying, well, what's happening? And I almost said, well, if you didn't get an all-call, then I didn't want to open it up. You know, whether we were doing that yet.
Yeah, I actually believe that we didn't do a call, we sent out the email though and posted on the website. And that's like, anytime I know the snow's coming, I make certain I'm up because I'm waiting for Mr. Rich's text or email.
Okay, that's good. Thanks, Rob.
And then there's our tickets. That's the only other information I have.
Any questions for Mr. Lee? And Mr. Rich left on us.
Hand to the rest.
I'll get back to him. We'll move on to, I believe, item 6. A is the treasury report, B is the investment. Item 8, approval of bill listings. We'll be approving the general fund and the food service payments. Item 9, board action items. It is change page. This is the rescinded January 11th action approving the employment of David Henry as a full-time custodian for due to non-compliance providing required clearances. Any questions on that?
Do we know why?
All I can say is Mr. Novak tried multiple times to reach him on the phone, and the one time he must have let it go just long enough that he forgot the number because he picked it up and then immediately hung up again as soon as he said who he was. So,
That doesn't sound good.
no.
Yeah, okay, don't want him around.
Am I wrong about that?
No, you're right.
Okay.
And item B is the employment of a new custodian. Any questions on item B?
Do you know who that individual will be?
I have two people, and I have my schedule to meet with Mr. Rich next Tuesday to, second.
Did you have anything to add, Mr. Richard? Okay. Item C is, middle high school substitutes. Recognize Cindy Nichols as a substitute teacher at the middle high school in addition to her VOAG tutor role when needed at the rate of $95 a day plus her existing tutor salary effective January 26, 2023. And approve Patrick Sylvester as substitute teacher at the middle high school addition to his teaching education tutor role when needed at the rate of $95 a day. Any questions on?
What would that make their effective rate?
I think their tutor salaries are $21,000 a year.
No, you're fine.
Item D is assistant baseball coaches. Approve the employment of Travis Lacasano and Richard Saragees as assistant baseball coaches for the 2023 school year. Mr. Lacasano and Saragees will split the supplemental pay at step one of $24,000 or $2,400. Be $1,200 a piece. Any questions on item D? Item E is leave of absence. Approve the unpaid intermittent disability leave of absence for Carol Ritchie of the cafeteria. Any questions on item E? Item F, professional development workshops. Approve the following workshops for Cameron Nicholson, Jessica Neophytesis, Jennifer Mauser, Mrs. Lennox, and Mrs. Lennox. Any questions on any of those items?
Quick question, sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Leave of absence, are we still gonna need to get somebody with her undefined?
It's, a day here and there,
Oh, okay.
not typically. So, Carrie didn't think so, although we do have a couple of subs right now, but, if needed, we'll have them.
I did have one question, because I see Mrs. Lennox's name here. We talked about the library. That doesn't have anything to do with the budget, right? That was all money.
That was an estimate.
Okay. Item G, additions to the volunteer and non-instructional substitute listing for 2023. I believe you have that list. Any questions on item G? Item 10, board action items. Item A is disposal of assets, disposal of old dumbbells by donation or scrap. Are there many of those?
Quite a bit.
Have we advertised? I mean, nobody buys that stuff, I guess, at all.
We probably supposed to be 40 of them.
And the thing about it, it makes sense. They bought a lot of the lower weights. You know, obviously you're dealing with kids, and then more than one kid can go at one time. I mean, how many sets of 20-pound dumbbells do you need if you're looking for them? So, you know, if there's a place that could use them locally, we'll donate them. If not, you know,
Okay.
Yeah, because everything, what is it, still 7 pounds or?
some,
Pound weight, you probably
tractor. No. No, I don't think so.
That's a little one.
Item B, dispose of assets. This is the staff laptops. I think Mr. Lee, or maybe Mr. Richard, this is where the teachers have the chance to buy their old laptops at $50 a piece.
Yeah,
Any questions on item B?
they're about 4 or 5 years old, I believe.
I think they're going on 6.
There you go. They're about 5, 6 years old, I believe.
We've done everything we can to keep them going, but they're dying. But really, one of the biggest problems is the ability to hook up to our boards and peripherals on the 50s of the adapters. And they're USB.
I was wondering, does it make sense for us to let them buy them, or we better off putting like Team Viewer on it or something so that they could log into the desktop at their home, and if we have a snow day or something. We're not gonna get much out of 30 computers, and it's worth it.
And that would be further conversation.
That's why it's something we should consider, right? Because a lot of teachers talk about, they go home from work and then they work another 6, 8 hours. At least that gives them access to their school computer.
Let me talk to Rob more about that. We'll get back to you.
Something I've been thinking about is, well, never mind. Well, it's these snow days. It just irritates me that you get a day off because there's deep snow and you go to sit and look at your screen instead of going out and playing in the snow. But we still schedule snow days off. But we'll move on. Item C, approval of field trips. I recognize Mr. Pertow and students 9 through 12 to the Skilled Trade Union Fair in Pittsburgh, and Mr. Holzhauser and senior class to the ELM Drug and Alcohol Assembly at the Scottish Rite Cathedral. That was the program that was presented tonight. Any questions on item C? Item D, FBLA State Leadership Conference. This would be approved Ms. Dawn Skurbetz and 4 students to attend the FBLA State Leadership Conference, April 9th through the 19th in Hershey. Cost of district will be for registration, lodging, meals, the amount of $3,242. Transportation will be by school van. Any questions on item D? Item E is to approve the attached district calendar. I don't know, did everybody get a chance to look at the calendar? I'm sure it's sent out earlier. Any questions on the calendar?
No, I'm going to alert you of one potential change that we might make, not the start date, not the end date, not breaks, but we're implementing senior exit interviews next year. And there's 2 half Act 80 days, and we're talking to Mr. Swerbley and a couple of teachers relative to how that impacts testing. If there's a desire to move it, we might move it, but the concept's going to stay the same. So prom is typically a full day Act 80 day. So what we were trying to do is tie in those senior exit interviews on the Wednesday and Thursday before prom, and then full day off of prom. So just if there's any adjustments, you will know before you vote. But there's going to be no change to when the in-service days are. There's no change to when the breaks are. There's no change to the first day of school, and no change to the last.
Okay, any questions? Item F, middle school program of studies. It's approved the 2023 middle school program as studies as provided. Any questions on item F? Item G, standardized enrollment package. Approve the standardized enrollment package for the enrolling students effective for the 23-24 school year. What exactly is that?
That's awesome.
So we want to have a system where their kid enrolls in kindergarten, comes into the middle of the school year in 2nd grade, or enrolls at the high school, that there is a packet and a procedure that they can just systematically follow, and that it ties in to our current student information system. Mr. Lee has been the head on that, working with others. Mr. Lee, any other comment you'd like to make on
We
that?
reviewed it, it definitely should clean up our data as well, because, you know, we reviewed it for pertinent fields that are required for reporting to the state, so. The nice thing is it's universal and it's consistent throughout the district, so it'll really allow us to just improve our processes and protocols.
Inside that packet, is that also where there's proof that they live within the district?
Yeah, if you'll, I think that's actually, sworn statement by resident. PD 1302
I mean,
attachment.
are we doing that the right way, or should we be asking people for proof that they pay taxes?
So you have a policy that's called proof of residency.
Yeah.
Okay? And if they don't have to pay taxes, because they could be renters.
Right, but at that point.
They'd have a
you-
lease,
At that point, you would have a lease,
correct?
or you would have a rental agreement.
You can ask for a lease, you can ask for a utility bill. We asked for two, we just did this. What did we get?
They sent 4 pieces of information: the driver's license, the vehicle registration card, a bill from a health care that came to the house, and then a utility bill.
Not that games aren't being played, but if you go through all that, I don't know what we can do.
So, let me say this one. So if kids are living with their grandparents that live in this district, are they entitled to come here?
So,
Or if they say they're living, I don't know.
So that's a curveball, okay? There has to be a level of documentation that the grandparent has some custodial arrangement. If the grandparent then has some custodial arrangement, then it goes back to the same things. Show us your proof of residency.
Like if they were guardian of the kid, it would be.
Yeah, some sort of custodial arrangement.
I mean, because I just look at the power bill, doctors, all that's pretty easy.
Mm-hmm.
If I say, I want, show me your tax ID for the district, or show me your lease, or show me your rental agreement,
I think it's
it's a little bit more.
I think it's policy 202 as a matter of fact, your residency. So, you could look, I would say, you know, you want to look at that policy for reference. If it's not 202, because I don't have it off the top of my head, but I think it's 202.
Any other questions on item G? Item H, Lex Pod agreement, and approve the attached agreement with, is that Lex Pol, for the annual law enforcement policy manual and daily training bulletins for 12 months at the cost of $1,791.71. Any questions on item H? Is this something we get every year, or?
This is new now that we have our own school police, so this is like their continuing education, if you will.
This is your 2 week.
Yeah.
Item H, or item I, investment opportunities, approve the business manager with prior approval of the superintendent to transfer funds into investment vehicles provided by banks, Pliget, and other sound financial institutions when prudent and interest rates are favorable. Any investments would be reported to the board at a subsequent meeting and will be reflected on the monthly investment report. Anything to add, Jim?
Only that with interest rates climbing, an opportunity may exist to move some money. I'm not open, well, I can't open anything after going to the beginning, but within like Pliget, for instance, there are several investments that I could move from our general fund into one of those. That's probably the extent of what I'm asking for there.
With interest rates going up, that does give us more opportunity to, I mean, like the old days when you could make money off of it.
Yeah, but just in January, I thought when I got my June, I got all last year.
Right.
Wow.
Okay.
Really?
Any questions on item I? Item J,
We, that's.
bids for 23-24. Approve the advertisement, the solicitation of bids for classroom supplies, paving, ceiling, school vans, and any other bids seen. Bids, items for the portion. Any questions on that item? Any new business for the board this evening? No comments? Meeting adjourned.